is Maria Emilia Saltijeral-Rosales Álvarez Zapata Villa de la Virgen de Guadalupe Ponce-DeMar. But you can call me Emily, and my very close friends call me Em. Just kidding about that first part of my name. It actually is my ancestral name. Mexicans in particular used to identify themselves that way. It covers the names of my grandmothers, my great-grandmothers, and ancestors before me. It's my family tree. I'm going to yell just a little louder. Don't you just love technology? How many of you have computers at home? Wow! That's great. That's great. Just don't get a microphone. Okay. Now, as Mrs. Stone told you, I'm here to help celebrate and honor the 2008 Hispanic Heritage Month, which began last Monday. What is Hispanic Heritage Month? Oh, I'm glad you asked. That's a good question. Hispanic Heritage Month is the anniversary of independence for 7 Latin American countries. Can anybody guess what they are? I'll start you off with the first one, Mexico. That was an easy one. But now it gets a little harder. Okay? Texas? No. No. One more. 1751 we were independent, but these countries are the following. I'll give them to you. Now listen carefully because there's going to be a test after this. Costa Rica, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, and Chile. You remember just one of these countries? Then you'll do okay. Okay, here's a question we can all relate to. What does the word Hispanic mean? The term Hispanic, as defined by the United States Census Bureau, it refers to Spanish-speaking people in the United States of any race, whether you identify yourself as a native-born Cuban, Puerto Rican, Mexican, or American of any Latin or Spanish descent, then you're Hispanic, and we're celebrating our heritage this month. Don't think for 1 minute that the Hispanic group is just a little tiny group of people. As of the census of 2005, which was 3 years ago, it was estimated that there are over 42 million people living in the United States that consider themselves part of Hispanic or Latino origin. For you math wizards out there, and I hope there's a lot of you, that's 14% of the population. And guess what? That number, in the last 3 years, has gotten bigger and bigger every day. I don't know how huge that number is now, but I'm very proud to say it's a lot more than 42 million. I love sharing these facts with people because guess what? I'm in the fact-finding business. As you heard, I am a writer. I write columns for the Aurora newspaper. I'm looking out at the audience right now. I'm wondering to myself if there are any future voices out there who might one day be writing for the paper or just writing. You've never heard of me? Well, I write columns for the values section of the newspaper. Maybe you've heard your parents comment on something I've written. But that's okay if you don't know who I am. But the next time you pick up a Saturday morning newspaper like tomorrow, look for my column. I might be writing something about you, or something that affects you, or in general affects the Hispanic community. For example, Mrs. Stone recently contacted me because she read a column that I had written about the importance of being fluent in more than one language in America. It's a wonderful thing to be fluent and able to speak other languages, other than your native language. Now I'm guessing there's a lot of you right in this audience who speak another language other than English. Let's see how bright I am. Raise your hand if you speak another language other than English. And keep your hand up if that language is Spanish. Qué bien, mucho gusto y gracias. Pueden bajar las manos. Gracias por venir a mi presentación. For those of you in the audience who do not understand Spanish or speak Spanish, I just said that your teacher will be giving everybody an A in the next test. Just kidding. to me through my little girl, who, well, is now 21, but my daughter's name is Fatima, and I like to call her Fatima. One day she used her Spanish as a weapon to defend herself. The story goes, she was always being picked on during recess by a boy who probably liked her, and like most little boys his age, showed his affection by tugging on her hair whenever he was anywhere near her. Well, one day, Buddy had enough. And as she was standing in line in front of this particular little boy, and he went and tugged at her ponytail, suddenly she turned around, and she says to him, "Tú eres muy tonto." By the power of her exclamation, he had no idea what she had said. And he didn't know what else to do. Of course, as many of you understand, all she was saying is, "You are very naughty, you are a dum-dum." But while he had no idea what she had said, he did realize that something different and powerful was happening with this little girl. She knew 2 languages. He never bothered her again for the rest of the school year. Now that she's all grown up, she recently ran into this little boy who is now a big boy. The first thing she thought was, "He's really cute." And then she remembered her "tú eres tonto" remark and how she had scared him off. And she wished she hadn't done that. But that's another story. She now admits that sometimes a second language is too much of a weapon. It should be used with a little sensitivity.